Ace.
Hey, Ace, how's it going, man?
What's up, y'all?
How you been, mate?
Straight.
Yeah,
I'm good, man. What's happening?
oh, not much. Thanks so much for taking your time out to interview with us. It means a lot because we're just starting up with like a little hip hop radio station in Sydney. So, thanks so much.
Australia. How's
Yeah.
everything out there?
Oh, it's going great.
It's going well. The COVID thing's settled down, so it's going really well at the moment. Yeah.
That's good.
When
man.
was the last
Hopefully
time
I
you
can get
peaked?
back?
Yeah.
Australia?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, I did some live band shows. I want to say that was 2016 or 17. Maybe it's 2017.
Oh yeah.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you. You cut out a bit for a second there, but yeah, we got you good.
Okay.
Gonna run
2017
through
is
some-
the last time I was out there.
Oh yeah, nice. We're just going to run through some questions and starting like back where it all started. So, what was it like for you growing up in Brownsville?
It was a lot of fun, man. I had a good time.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid playing in the neighborhood. You know, people consider Brownsville to be a dangerous area. It's more dangerous for people that aren't from there than people that are, that live there. At least when I was coming up. It's probably different now. No, it is different now. But back then, everybody knew each other. You know, played different games, hung out, swam in the swimming pool. There was a million different little neighborhood games that we played, and it was a lot of fun, especially in the summertime. That was like the most fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice. So I know you went to college.
Yeah.
What was your experience with that, and like what made you want to get into hip hop from that? I guess.
I was into hip hop way before college. I was already, DJing, popping, writing a little graph in the neighborhood. I was doing all of that stuff before I even got to high school, and then it just became more. Once I was in high school, I was doing it even more. Writing graph and DJing and stuff like that. And then I started rhyming.
Yeah.
Like probably when I first year of high school, I started rhyming a little bit. And so when I got to college, I was already full-fledged. Like I had rhymes. I thought I was pretty good. I was ready to. I had lyrics to go when I got to college.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, because we asked about that because, we're here in college in Sydney, Australia.
It's our first year, so yeah.
Nice.
We got a little college radio show, and we know someone else that had a little college radio show, Stretch and Bob. And, they're like a big inspiration for us.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you remember your first time you
Going
ever
up
heard of
there.
them or
Yeah.
first time you met them.
I don't remember the first time I met them, and I don't remember the first time I was on the show because I've been on the show so many times. In the 90s, like I probably been on their show 5, 6 times, and you always rhyme when you go up there. So I don't remember the first meeting, but growing up coming up in New York in the 90s, especially, like everybody knew each other. We saw each other at parties. It was the same people that you would run into everywhere, wherever you were going. And when I was in college, actually, funny enough, I used to be up at our college radio station, WRIU, the university station. And I learned a little bit about radio being up there. I would help out, answer the phone sometimes. I would say I did a couple of radio promos where I did some raps or whatever for the station. And it was a guy named BJ the DJ who was on the air back then. And later on, a guy named Curdy Cut was on the station as well. Mike Weeks, those were like later on guys. But yeah, I spent a lot of time at the radio station in college myself.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Just moving on to like how you got your name. We heard your old graffiti tag was Ace, and that's how you got your rap name. What was the story behind?
Not exactly.
Oh, not exactly.
I was writing something else.
Yeah.
I didn't start writing Ace till much later, but I
Okay.
saw a graffiti piece in my neighborhood, and it had
Mm-hmm.
an ace. The graffiti artist put an ace of spade in the art, and that just gave me the idea. Like I thought that was kind of cool, so I was like, I'm gonna call myself
Yeah.
Ace. And back then it was Master, Grandmaster, so I just threw Master on the front of it, just to make it sound more complete. So I went with Masta Ace. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Just so one of our favorite albums of all time is Disposable Arts, and
Mine too.
yeah, and we saw that you recorded at 7888 Studios for that album. So what was like the atmosphere there, and how did that environment sort of help that album become what it was, such a classic?
At that time, a lot had happened in my career, and you know, the New York scene, the New York music scene, had pretty much written me off. You know, I was signed to a label out in L.A., and New York kind of felt that I was down with the West Coast as opposed to where I was from, the East Coast, and so I was kind of written off. I came back to New York and signed to a label in New York, and I started working on the album. A year and a half into working on this album, and then the label just decided not to put the album out and drop me from the label. And so all of that kind of went on and made me just really feel a little bit disenchanted with the industry. I felt like I was done. I felt like I didn't want to rhyme no more. I said I'm going to try to get a job at a record label to see if I could maybe get a job at a label, and then I could sort of change things from the inside. I just didn't like the way the industry was just throwing artists away the way they were doing. And so, you know, my goal was to try to get a job and change things that way. I never got that job. So in 2000, I did a tour in Europe. I went to the UK and then a couple of spots in Germany. And to my surprise, there were actually fans that were still feeling me and still into the music that I had put out. And when I came back from that tour in 2000, that's when I decided I'm gonna go back and do one more record, because I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go out as going out, where everybody said I was done. I didn't have anything else to offer for the game.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna go out on my own terms. So I went in the studio and started working on Disposable Arts, with the understanding from my partners, Filthy Rich and DJ Rob, that they were going to let me make the album that I wanted to make. I didn't want any input. I didn't want any suggestions. I didn't want any, you know, I didn't want any feedback. I just wanted to go in. It was going to be my final album, so I wanted to go in and just do exactly what I wanted to do, let the chips fall where they may. At least I would go out and make the final statement that I wanted to make before I was really finished with the music business. And who knew that album would turn into an extension, a 20-year extension on a career? Never would have thought that.
Yeah. And I saw, like, on the documentary, like, heaps of producers and different artists who ended up going onto the album came in. Did that really, like, help just create energy for the album and, like, the creative process?
I mean, that studio was definitely a place. There was always people coming through there, producers, beats. People was dropping off beat CDs all the time, and back then, you know, I would listen to anything. Like, I wasn't about the name of the producer. I was more about do these beats make me feel like I want to write something? And so I was taking beat CDs from a bunch of different people, cats I never heard of, and I was just finding the right music and being inspired to write these songs that eventually became that album.
Yeah, right. Just in terms of your collaboration with Marco Polo, how did you, like, initially meet him, and how did that sort of chemistry like become a thing, and how you collaborated?
Well, if you remember, I was saying like back then, I would beat CDs from anybody. I didn't care what the name was. I was in the studio, at the studio called the Cutting Room in New York City, and I was leaving, and then this young scrawny white kid came up to me. He's like, "Yo, I do beats. Can I give you a beat CD?" And I was like, "Yeah." He gave me the beat CD. I left. He had his number on there. I listened to it. I was like, man, like this kid actually got some skills. Like I liked the drum programming, and I'm big on the drums. The drums got to be right. The loops, the samples, that's important.
Yeah.
But if the drums aren't right, it don't matter how dope the sample is. But he had a talent for drum programming that a lot of guys don't have. And so I called him and I was like, yo, I really like, the beats that I heard. Can you send me some more? And he sent me another batch. And on that batch, one of the beats was I wound up writing for a song called Do It Man that's actually on my album A Long Hot Summer featuring rapper Noid. And so he said I could have that beat in exchange for a song for his album. And so back then we were doing trade budgets, like to be paying people $3,000 for a beat. So it's like, all right, give me that beat and I'll do a song for you. And that's how we traded. And that song that I traded for him for his album was the song called Nostalgia. Yeah, and that's how the relationship began. That's how it began with us.
Yeah, awesome. And on the A Brooklyn Story, released in 2018 with Marco Polo, what inspired that collaboration, and why do you think it worked? It just gelled so well as a full album collaboration.
See, we were friends for 10 years plus leading into that album. He came on tour with me a couple times with my group EMC, opening up. Him and Torre opened up for us, and I was like 06.
Yeah.
So I brought him on the road with me, and then there was a couple times where I needed somebody to fill in for my DJ, and he came out and DJ'd a couple of shows for me. So, when you get on the road with people, that's how you really get to know each other, and you become family, and that's how it really started. So by the time Nostalgia had 1 million views on YouTube, and we saw that people really loved that record. I was performing it in all my shows. The fans were asking for an album. Like, can you guys do a whole album? Or do more songs together? And we both liked the idea, but we had to both be free and available to do it. So it took a while. It took a while for him to be free and me to be free at the same time. And finally we got it together, in 2017 or 2018.
Yeah. So obviously recently you've been on quite a few features, including the tremendous Emmett Till song, and also the A1.
Oh, you heard that? I didn't even know it was out. Did it come out?
Yeah, it's out on it's on Spotify. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that it was officially out.
Yeah, it's
I like that. I like that record.
Yeah. And also the A1 and Phonics Everlasting Game, which came out recently. Which one?
Which one you kind of broke up?
Oh, it's called Everlasting Game.
I have
Phonics.
To hear it. I don't know. Yeah, Phonics. Yeah. I never knew the name of the song. I never know the name. I didn't know the name of the song. So it's called Everlasting Game. Okay.
Yeah. We've been playing that on repeat pretty much.
Nice.
So I was just wondering, what drives you to keep making music at such a high level as well?
I make music if I'm inspired to make music. I was supposed to start writing this album with the new album with Mark, start writing it last year, 2020, but I wasn't inspired. There was a lot going on in the world, and I just didn't feel.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the creative energy to write an album with with everything that was going on in the world, because I knew that the album would be about that. It would be every rhyme would be about, you know, what was happening, and I didn't really want to do that. So I just waited, and you know, I've been waiting. Now things are starting to feel a little bit more feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Not there yet, but I'm at least now starting to get inspired. So the rule for me is I don't write until I'm inspired to write. You know, if I don't feel inspiration to put lyrics on the page, I don't do it, because I don't want the records to feel forced or sound forced. I want it to be natural and feel natural.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I wait for a sign. I wait for a moment. You know, it usually comes sometimes it comes 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying about to fall back to sleep, and then I get a song about such and such, and that's how it begins.
Yeah, I think that's why you have such great like longevity, because you do wait until that perfect moment to make music. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't force it. You can't force creativity. It just has to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Just to finish things off, we've touched on like you going to Australia, but I just wanted to ask, like, what's been your experience of Australia, and like, do you think you'll make a return after like the whole COVID thing settles down a bit?
Well, Sydney's my favorite city in Australia that I've been to. I love Sydney. It's just a beautiful city. Every time we go there, we have a great time. The parties are always good. The shows are always really good. And absolutely want to return once things get back to, you know, quote unquote normal, where we can start to travel again and venues can be opened and people can start performing again. I hope that we get back to that. That's the hope. And absolutely, you know, because Marco and I haven't been to Australia we haven't been on tour in Australia for the Brooklyn Story album, and maybe we come after we put the new album, both albums under our belt, and then we come out there.
We're looking forward to it. We'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
Word.